My name is Scott Gunter. I'm an athletic trainer and strength and conditioning coach at the SportsCare Performance Institute in Whippany. An ACL, or anterior cruciate ligament, is one of the four main ligaments of the knee. It limits rotation and anterior translation of the tibia, the lower bone in the knee. So it's important in a lot of our athletes because at any time they're doing pivoting or cutting movements, it's actually helping to keep the knee in a stable position and protect other areas. An ACL tear can occur several different ways. The two main ways are either contact or non-contact. So obviously contact injuries, it involves a lot of rotation, a heavy hit, whether you're in football or even lacrosse, something like that. There's a lot of rotation around the knee. Sometimes the stress can be too great and actually cause the ligament to rupture. On the other side of things, we could have non-contact tears where someone is simply planting or landing improperly. You get rotation, you get an improper movement around the knee, and when there's that lack of control, the stress has to go somewhere. If it goes to the ligament, that's where you sometimes see those ruptures. We tend to notice that female athletes are a little bit more susceptible to ACL injuries. We see a lot of prevalence in sports like basketball or soccer that involve planting the foot, cutting, or even landing. Females may be more prone for several different reasons. It could be due to their direct anatomy, the way their bone structure is, the hips being a little bit wider. It could also have to do with the muscle control around the hip, around the knee, around the ankle. When you don't have that control and you get landing mechanics that are improper, you're going to get some rotation, you're going to get the knee almost giving out. What we see a lot is a lot of our female athletes coming in here, the knee will actually collapse in, and that's where you see some of that rotation. That's where the stress will go to the ligament. There are a lot of things we can do to actually combat the prevalence of ACL tears for non-contact injuries. So this can include focusing on landing mechanics, teaching proper form, teaching knee control right above the foot, strengthening up those muscles of the upper leg, strengthening muscles of the hip, focusing on things like proprioception and balance, where you're actually looking at control, using the muscles to stabilize, and basically letting the muscles act as shock absorbers so that the stress does not go to the ligaments. Landing mechanics strengthen the muscles of the that control the knee and strengthen the hip. First exercise I'm going to have Ashley do is a tuck jump, which focuses on landing, focuses on using both legs evenly. So she's going to drop down, jump up, drive her knees to her chest, and land as soft as she can. You want to look around the knees to make sure they don't collapse in, to make sure they remain relatively stable right above the feet, and make sure she's having that soft landing and not stomping the ground. Another exercise we want to introduce is the alternating split squat jump. So with this exercise, you're landing, controlling the knee, making sure again that it does not come in, but you're splitting the stance so that you have to rely more on one leg than the other. She's going to drop down, jump up, switch her legs in the air, and land stable in a lunge pattern. We want their posture to remain upright, and again, landing as soft as possible. From the side, you want to make sure that their posture is upright, they're controlling their landing, and not dropping that back knee to the ground. The front knee should also not go past the toes, but remain stable above the foot. The last exercise we're going to introduce is called a cone stop. So what she's going to do is sprint in, come to a controlled stop at the cone, and show us that she has that control by freezing for about a second in that last position. There are a couple different variations you want to do with this. So she's going to freeze right there. We can have her sprint in, come to that complete stop. We can have her sprint in, do a stop jump, which is also going to address landing mechanics. We can also have her come in, come to a controlled stop or decelerate, and then pivot and turn around.